Hi, it's Amy here. I'm going to show you how to make a tunnel book using some Eileen Hull dies. The first die that you'll need for this is called the Caddy die. It makes, it cuts this shape, which when it's folded would become a card caddy, and then it has, sides. We're not going to use it as a card caddy, we're going to use it as a book. So the card caddy die. You'll also need this thinlet set. This is called the Bookbinding Label and Die. It cuts out this binding that we'll use for this book. And then the last thing that you'll need, well, another thing, it's not the last thing, but the last thing from Eileen Hull is the Starlit Village die set, which includes this die, and then also we're going to use the houses dies that come with that set. This is a set that's sold only at scrapbook.com, and I'm going to leave links for all of these in the description. The other thing that you'll need is a set of nested ovals. I think ovals are a nice shape to use. Let me show you. So you want a nested shape that will fit nicely in this shape. You could use a rectangle that would go into this area. I just think that the oval is a nice shape. And what a tunnel book is, it's a book where each page goes from large to small. So you're looking down it looks like you're looking down into a tunnel. Like that. So you'll need 5, I think I have 6 here, but you'll need 5 of these nested shapes. Okay, so let's begin. The first thing that you'll want to do is, and I've used mat board to cut this out, you'll want to cut out your panel. And this is just out of mat board. I didn't cover it first, I just cut it out like this. And I think that's going to be nice. You could cover it first with one, whatever color you want on both sides. I'm just going to go with the white. I think it's pretty. Then you'll also need, from that same card caddy die, the part that cuts out the side. And what you'll do is cut off that bottom tab and just use it like this. Okay, so I've already done that there. And then with this piece, what we're going to do is we're going to slice off this area and this area, and we won't need that. We're going to bind it over here. Okay, so that's why we are using the side piece. All right, so I think what I'll do next is glue the spine onto the covers, just like that. All right, the next thing that we're going to do is put the binding in to the book. So when you use this die to cut the binding part of this book, trim it down so the lines are going this way. You want to trim it this way to 3.5 inches, and that you can just throw the smaller part away and keep the 3.5 inches. And then what we're going to do is, do you see that there's a thin part and wider, thinner, wider, thinner, wider, thinner. So what it's going to happen is that these parts that are wider are going to be glued to each other, and then these parts are going to fold out like little wings. That's going to glue to the binding. So what we can do is go ahead and wherever you see the wider parts, go ahead and glue those to each other. So I'll show you. You can use a lot of people use red line tape for this. I'm just going to use glue. Okay, so once you're done, you'll see that you have these parts that come up. That's where we'll glue our pages to. These parts that come up like this. And then this part will be glued to our spine. Now, it's not going to fit in this part. What you'll have to do is put it down in the center of that area. And you just need to make sure all those center parts are flat. All of these places that are to be glued flat down, you want to make sure they are all flat down. There. And then we want to make sure that this is kind of even. This edge and this edge are even. Okay. I think that's good. So those are all the places where our pages will glue on. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages. Okay. To make the pages for the tunnel book, you'll need 5 sheets of paper cut 5 inches by 11 inches and then scored at 5.5 inches. And then what you'll do is take that folded line and line it up with the edge of this die. This is the die that comes in the Starlit Village set, which is available at scrapbook.com. And what you'll do is just line up that edge with the fold. I'm using this cut line of the die, and I'm pushing that against the fold so that I'm lined up. I'm really lined up with this paper and the fold. And the fold is on the right side of this die. And then I'll put that through my die cutting machine. I'll do that with 5 sheets of paper. Then we'll have 5 of these pages. Okay, now that I have those 5 papers all prepared, the fold is on the right, the open side is on the left. And you can see how these will fit in. They'll go over these binding areas and then glue on like that. Okay, but the next step is to cut the apertures in this. And what makes it a tunnel book is that there's a larger aperture in the front page, and then each page subsequent to that will have a smaller aperture. So I think I have 5, well, I have 6 here, so I'm just not going to use the smallest one for this. I'm going to take the largest one and I'm going to center it as best as I can on my top page. This is my front page. And once I'm happy with how it looks, I'm going to take my repositionable low tap tape and I'm going to tape it into place. And I'm not using the center part, so I can put the tape sort of like that and then run that through. And then I'll show you how to place the next one. Then when I'm happy with that placement, I'll secure it down with my low tack tape, and then I'll take that away and I'll put this one through. Then I'll take this away and I'll continue with the next one. I'll put it in place, line them up, take my next oval, place it in the center. Take a piece of low-tack tape and secure that in place. Now we have our tunnel pages all cut, and you can see how this is going to work. The next thing that we want to do is cut what we're going to put into the tunnel pages and for the tunnel book pages. And for me, I'm using the dies that come with this die, and it's the Starlit Village. I'm going to cut them a couple of times each. So you can imagine there will be houses here, and then houses in the next one. I'm also going to cut the single houses because I think I can use those. And then I'm going to layer these up so that they're sturdy. So I'll cut at least 2 layers for each of the houses that I'll use. I'll do that and I'll be right back. Okay, so I've cut strips of these houses, and I've glued them together. So this is 2 layers of paper thick. I did this one twice, and I did this one twice, but then this one you can see that I cut it off at that house there. So let me show you how I'm going to use this one. So let me show you how I'm going to lay this out. I think I'm going to put this in on the front page, the first page. So I'm just going to open this up and slip this in to sort of get an idea of where I'm going to place it. So I think it'll be something like that. I'm not going to glue it in yet because I may move it around. So that's the front page. And then this next one, I'm going to put a little bit of I cut a length of paper to go in there and just hand cut a slight hill on there. I'm going to place that inside. And then I'm just going to take the next one. So this was the first one we used. I'll use this one, and I'll place it behind that hill inside this folder. So something like that. And I can see how I like it if I sort of keep these together and then layer them. And I like how that's looking. I like the spacing of that. Okay, and then I'll work and get the next one done now. So I used this series of houses, and now I'll try this one. But I don't want it to be exactly lined up with the first one. So I think I'm going to shift it over to be more like this side, or I could shift it to be more like this. I think I'm going to shift it to be more like this because if you see, this is where this house I think is the most recognizable out of all of those houses. And I think if it's off to the right, I'll notice it less than if it's more in the center. I'm going to try it anyway. So I'm going to try placing it about there. This time I'm not going to put it in the folder because I don't want to cut it, but I'm not sure of my placement. So I'm just going to place it on that side. And then I have a little hill that I'm going to place in front of it. This time, you know what I think I'm going to do while I'm just sort of rehearsing these and seeing about the placement, I'm going to get a paper clip and hold that into what I think is the place. Okay, and then I'll go back and do the paper clip trick here too. That way it won't move around too much and I can get an accurate idea of what it's going to look like. Okay, so that is 1, 2, 3. For the fourth page, I'm going to use another one of the hills, place it inside, and this time I'm going to use these singles that I've cut out. It's going to be harder to paper clip in, but I do think that's helpful. Maybe. Okay, let's see how that looks. That's a little bit lower than I meant for it to do. I think I'm going to scoot everything down just a little bit, leave room for those last 2 rows. Okay, and for the fourth and last one, I'm going to use this sort of strip that I cut down, and it's going to go almost to the top of this aperture. Probably about there. See how that looks. Okay, I think I'm happy with how that looks. It looks like a happy little town. And so I think what I'm going to do is glue each one of these little folders. I'm not going to glue the folders together, but what I'm going to do is glue the houses, and if there's a hill, the hill, just in the front part of the folder. So I'm just going to apply glue at the bottom there, and then place these on the glue. Now for this one, because it's going to go outside of the fold, I am going to place it where I wanted it to be, and then mark where I need to cut it off so that I can have the right placement for it. need to decide if I'm going to glue these houses in front of the snowbank or behind the snowbank. I don't know if it'll make much of a difference, but I think I like it better behind the snowbank. So I'm going to first glue in the snowbank and then I'll glue the houses on. Okay, let's see how that looks. You know, with the flipping over and then gluing on the other side, I realized that I glued these houses on a different side than I had intended, but I think it still looks nice. I just got a little confused, but I like it, so I'm going to keep it. Now for the last one. Maybe so that I don't get confused, I'll glue it to the back of the back panel. This time I think I'll glue this one on the front of the snowbank. Okay. So that's how that's looking. There's not a lot peeking out through the back. I had meant for there to be more of the sky showing, but you can arrange this anyway. You can use less than 5 pages if you wanted to, or you could make there be less of a gap between the spacing. But anyway, I'm happy with this. It's just a little different than I intended. So the next thing that we'll do is put these pages in. I'm going to start in the back with the back page, which is the page with the smallest aperture. And what I'll do is I'm going to glue this whole folder closed, and then I'm going to have glue here and here, and that's going to go over that binding strip there. And then this will also be glued closed over it. I like this because it gives it a nice finished edge, not a raw edge. And also the backs of the pages are nice and finished. Okay, so I'm going to do that for all of the pages. And I'm going to pop you on high speed. All right, that's all of the pages glued in. It's looking very sweet, I think. Here's my plan for decorating the cover. I'm going to use the same die, or I did use the same die to make these strips of houses. And I decided to put gold paper behind the dice where the windows and doors and hearts and stars and trees are. It just looked better for this than to have it be a cutout. So what I did is, do you know how sometimes when you put a die through too thick of a material, or maybe it would cut through 2 sheets of paper but not 3? So what I did is I put this gold paper on underneath 2 sheets of other paper. So it didn't quite cut all the way through, and it cut most of the outline. I just had to snip a little bit of it for it to fit, but because it's in the back, I could have even cut it a little bit smaller than, or inside those lines. It doesn't show. And so then that made it so that I had, you know, the doors and the windows and all. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm going to pop that front one up on foam just to have a little bit of dimension, and then glue these others down. I'll start gluing the back row, that's just the single houses, about there, and then this row about there, and this one a little bit popped up about there. Up here in the sky, I want to use this stamp set. This is from Concord and Ninth, and it's O Night Divine stamp set. It's from a couple of years ago, I think. I don't think it was last year. But you could still get it out there in the market. I think you could still find it. So what I'm going to do is use this Silent Night, Holy Night, and All is Calm and All is Bright in the sky. And I think I'm going to go ahead and place it in my Misty. So let me get that set up. I'm keeping the houses in place because I want to be able to put the stamps, sort of figure out their spacing according to where those houses are. All is calm, all is bright, and I think I want to do it about there. And then I want to do Silent Night, Holy Night about, I think about there. Let's see. Yeah, I like that spacing. And I really don't like to use this de-static powder or something like that. I'm going to try it though this time because I think it does matter. It does make a difference as to what sticks to the paper. I'm just going to hope for the best. Okay. All right, and I'm using the Wow embossing pad. Let's take a look at that. Okay, I can see that that is nice. The other thing I'm going to do is to use this Emboss It pen. This is by Ranger, and it's basically the embossing powder in pen form. And I'm just going to do a few dots for stars. And it's okay if this goes behind where the houses are. I just want to have some just random stars. That might be a little too many, but we'll see. Okay, and so then I'm going to I'll take this out of my Misty. Okay, this is a sheet of just plain copy paper that I've folded in half. And I'm going to take some gold embossing powder. I'm going to use this superfine detail gold embossing powder from Ranger. I'm going to take a little brush. I just have some extra. There. Okay. I think that's pretty good. Okay, I'm gonna go heat emboss that and I'll be right back. Okay, I really like that, but I tell you what I don't like is that emboss, that powder, anti-static powder on there. So I'm gonna try brushing it off. I know better than to get this wet because it takes part of the color of the paper off. I've done it before and I've kind of ruined it. So I'm just going to see if this brush will get most of it off. Okay, that cut most of it off. It didn't get it all off, but because it's the sky, it could even look like I meant for it to sort of be like a swirly cloud. So I'm going to go with it. So next, let's put the houses in. I think it was something like that. Okay, so I will go ahead and glue those on straight to the card. And then this last row of houses I'm going to pop up on foam. Okay, there we go. There's our nice cover, and I'll go ahead and glue this onto the front of our book. And then for the back cover, I just have a plain piece. This is also cut with the just that layering piece that comes with the Starlit Village set, and I'm just going to glue that to the back cover. For the inside covers, I don't really like how this is the spine piece that's hinged here showing, and then layered with this is the binding piece. I just think that looks a little, I don't know, messy. And if I just used the, well, let me show you. If I just used that, this is a piece of that gold cut for the matting, it wouldn't cover, it wouldn't make that look better. It would sort of be placed here, and I don't know if you can still see, I can still see that paper from the binding. It's fine. I mean, I don't think it's a big problem, but what I am going to do is I cut a sheet of this blue paper. I cut this blue paper with the die that makes the card Caddy, and so it's exactly the size of the covers. And I'm just going to place that and glue that in exactly over, and then that covers, it covers both the flap for the spine and also the binding. So I just need to slice that down, and I'm going to make a mark with a pencil on the back here to show me where I need to cut for that to fit. And I'll do the same thing for the front cover. So I'll trim that and then glue those into place. Okay, so there you have it. That's the tunnel book all finished. I think it turned out so sweet. So this is how it looks on the cover, and then on the inside you see all those layers of pages. The back is just plain. You could put a spine on if you wanted to. And just look through all of your dies that you have. Whatever dies that you have that would create a scene, a multi-layer scene, would be great for a tunnel book. Or you can use ephemera that you have if it would create a scene. You can imagine flowers would be so pretty. I really also think that the nativity scene would be really beautiful, especially for Christmas. And you don't have to make it just white on white. You can add color. It could be a sweet, colorful thing, or different metallic gold houses in there. You could do it in layers of dark to light or light to dark. You can really have a lot of fun. The pages themselves could be different colors. This is just sort of the basics for this tunnel book. I hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for joining me. Hey, if you like this project and want to see more like it, let me know by giving me a thumbs up, subscribing, and leaving a comment. Take care.